Hello, hello, my stamping friends. Happy Monday. Christine Ludwig here from Christine's Stamping Spot. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in St. Albert, Alberta. And welcome to my Mystery Monday video today. So nice to have you join in. Leave a note in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from. I'd love to see where our friends are watching from. So today is our last Monday of July. Hard to believe that it's going to be August next weekend. Oh my gosh. We had the craziest of storms on Saturday evening. Really strong winds, tons of lightning, a real electrical storm, thunder, rain. And the next morning, we out on our drive, we noticed so many broken trees. So unfortunately, a lot of our trees were down, not ours personally, but in the neighborhood and on a number of the streets in the city. A lot of beautiful trees, branches broken, major branches broken. So unfortunately, the city's going to have a big cleanup job. So that was very sad to see, but it was something else, that wind. Oh, just another one to chalk up to our interesting weather this summer for sure. So if you experience something like that this weekend, let me know too. I'd like to know if it's just us or if you're from another part of the country or the continent or the world. Are you having these crazy electrical, windy, rain, thunderstorms? I know there's a lot of fires going on. There's just all sorts of crazy weather happening right now in the world. However, it is Monday. It's the start of a new week. So I thought, because we're kind of getting into that season where some of our fruits, our local fruits and things are being picked right now, and a lot of people are wondering what to do with it. A lot of people are preserving and canning and doing that kind of thing. And how about you guys? Do you do any of that? I already did a batch of jam. It's called Haskap jam, and if you're not familiar with Haskap berries, they're very similar to a blueberry, except where a blueberry is round, a Haskap is more oblong. And they love a cold climate, so they do very well here. They overwinter really well, and they just get larger. The plants, the bush just gets larger and larger every year. So I was able to pick some of those from my sister's yard when she was on vacation and made a batch of Haskap jam, which we love. And it's not quite as sweet as the blueberry, but it's full of antioxidants and supposed to be one of the great super berries out there. So if you have not ever tried Haskap jam or Haskap berries, try them because you may like them. I really do. We love them in muffins and baking and jams and things. So you can use them very much like a blueberry, but they're a little bit different. So because I had done some preserving, and I know a lot of people like to give preserves away as gifts, not even just now in the summer, but also over the holidays. It's a nice gift to give to a neighbor, or, you know, whether it's chutneys or jams or syrups or canned fruits or whatever you're doing, sauces, spice mixes, like there's cookie mixes, like there's all kinds of reasons to put things in a jar. So this sweet is perfect. This is the Filled with Sweetness bundle. I think that's the name of the bundle. Let me just double check. Filled with Sweetness bundle. So it's part of a larger suite, and it is from the March online exclusives this year, so it does go back a few months. And I did play with this originally, but I thought, well, now's another great time, right? So we can make our own jars and decorate them, and just maybe attach a little card to a gift you're giving to a neighbor or somebody, or you can just add a tag to a jar. It doesn't even have to be a jar. It could even just be you know, like a little basket of fresh fruit or whatever you have. So we are going to make a card with this. So this is the stamp set. So it has lots, or sorry, these are the dies. This is the stamp set. Great little images. And so you get all of these photopolymer ones, and then the dies. There are so many, including this really large one, which makes the jar. Okay, you can actually cut out your cardstock with this die to make a card, and that's what we are going to do today. And there's a couple of different sizes of labels here that you can use. There's even one for just a tag if you wanted to just attach a tag to your jar. Okay, there's lots of different options that you can do with this, so great time to be using it. So this is the card we're going to make. Okay, homemade for you. So it opens up sideways, so you can write your little greeting in here. Okay, so just a nice little card. You can either put it in an envelope or just tuck it inside with your little gift, or whatever you decide to do, put, to your friend. And I'm going to show you how we did this. Okay, so another part before I show you that, I just want to show you a couple of other parts to this sweet. So one is that homemade sweetness designer paper. So look at all of the other images you get here. So these, because the stamp set and the dies only have blueberries and strawberries, you might be making something with peaches or with cherries or with oranges or raspberries, which are so popular here right now. So you can just fussy cut some of these and put them on your card too, and just sort of customize it to what you're making, right? So there's this piece, and you've got some lovely Secret C on the back. These little cute ones that you can fussy cut, even a honey bear, which is cute. And these are already, sort of done up, so you can just make a card with those. And this pretty pattern on the back. Not a ton of colors in this paper. We've got Calypso Coral, Crushed Curry, Granny Apple Green, Misty Moonlight, Secret C, and Strawberry Slush. Okay, and then you have these posies here, and this really neat check pattern on the back. Kind of makes your eyes go a little wonky, doesn't it? And the spoons, so those are fun, with the little hearts on the back. And here's some more preserves. You can either fussy cut or just use as a background. And some journaling paper. Maybe you want to include the recipe to what you're giving your friend, right? You can just sort of jot that down and tuck that inside your card as well. So this is a handy page. And then, of course, our perfect gingham, which is always great for that. And then our little ladybugs here on the back. So really sweet paper, I have to say. Okay, so back to our project. So the first thing we're going to do, or I did pre-cut a bunch of these pieces. So we're going to use this die, or I used this entire die for our card base. Okay, so I just put it on a piece of basic white, whatever fits the die, and you run it through your die cutting machine, and it comes out scored. Okay, so you're just going to fold it on that score line, and your edges should line up quite easily. And this is going to be the base of our card. Now you're thinking, well, in the sample, it's blue. Well, yes, it is. Now, I didn't want to have my entire base I could have, but I didn't want to do it out of the blue. So I used Misty Moonlight here. And what we're going to do is we are going to stamp and recut just one part of this die, one side of this die, and we're going to put it on top. And this way we still have the white where we can write our greeting, and you can actually see it. So what I did is I took that large stamp from the stamp set, so this one right here, this large stamp, and I think it had to go on pretty much my largest block. And when it was stamped, it came out like this. So this is Misty Moonlight on top of Misty Moonlight cardstock, okay? Now, it also came out with this little strip on the end. So I'm just going to trim that off. Either you could do it with scissors or with your paper trimmer. And there is a score line there. Let's see if I can line it up in the track. So you're just going to line up that score line and just trim off that end piece because we don't need it, okay? So now this, let's put it in the right orientation, should fit pretty much on top of this. You might have a little bit, I might have misfolded a little bit there, but that's okay. We can always trim that off. it should fit pretty even on top of our base, okay? So let's go ahead and attach this. And if you were giving a different, type of preserve, maybe strawberry jam or strawberry something, you could cut this out of like a red cardstock, or maybe, what's some of the other great ones? A real red or something like that. That would work too. So if you're a little bothered with this white here, you can just sort of trim that off. No one's gonna know. Okay, and also on this bottom layer. So just trim that off. And that way you have your card base, right? With the blue on top. Great trick. Okay, so then we can do some decorating, all right? So I cut out from that gingham designer paper this topper. This is also one of the dies in the die cuts. Okay, so it is this one right here, and it comes out with all of these score lines, which looks like stitching, right? It looks like you've cut out a piece of fabric. So let's put that on the top of our jar. And we may have a little bit of an overhang, so some of it is fine. Some you might want to just trim off some little straggling pieces. Nothing, just depends how you lay that down. So that looks not too bad, like so. But when you open it, if you wanted to trim this top part off here, just trim it from the back. I'm going to leave this because that is part of the topper. But here on this side, a little bit was hanging over. So I'm just going to trim that down just so it looks a little neater. Okay, so there's our topper, right? Now we also have this great die, which is the bow. So that would be these two pieces. You have this long one here and then this little bow. Now these are quite small. So by small, I mean the width of it when it comes out, right? So because I didn't want to mess with glue, this is how they come out, okay? So very thin. This is meant to look like twine, or like you're tying, the bit of string on top of your jar. So I went ahead and I put these on an adhesive sheet because I just thought I'm gonna get glue everywhere. But if you prefer to use your liquid glue, by all means, because sometimes using adhesive sheet on these tiny ones, it's a little tricky sometimes to get them off. But hey, that worked pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to start on this end here, and they have this stitched line right along the top. So I'm just going to cover that. I'm going to cover that stitched line all the way across. Okay, and we have a little bit extra, which we can trim off. That's no problem. Okay, so we have that tacked down. And then the bow. So the bow is also on an adhesive sheet. This is out of basic white, but you could do your bow any colors, right? Just coordinate whatever you have to the gift that you're giving, if you really want it to coordinate. If not, it doesn't matter, right? It's just the thought that counts, which is really awesome. Now, do I have another piece down here? This might have been, I don't throw out my extra little pieces of my adhesive sheets, because sometimes, like I think I did now, I just put a whole bunch of them on, and then sometimes I have to find the ends instead of just one solid piece. Okay, I think I got it. Oh, just a little bit there. Okay, so we have our bow. So this, I'm just going to put on top of that string and just press that down. And there we have our little twine on top of our jar. Oh, that is just so cute. Okay, so for our greeting, we have a few choices of dies for your greeting. Okay, we have this really long one, we have this one, we have this one, and also the tag. So we have quite a few. So what I decided to do was I used this die. And so I cut it out twice. I cut it out once out of the Misty Moonlight, and this is how it comes out. Look at all that detail, right? Isn't that just so fun? And then I cut out a second one out of the Basic White, okay? And this is where I'm gonna stamp my greeting. So let me do that. I'm gonna do the Homemade for You, because I thought, well, that's kind of nice if you're giving it away too. You also have You're the Sweetest, Love You Very Much, and Thank You. So you can make this a nice little thank you gift. So I'm just gonna do the Homemade for You. And I'm gonna try to center that on here. Oh, it's not too bad. Kind of centered. All right, and now for the blue, because I want to leave a little bit showing at the top and the bottom, I'm just going to randomly take my scissors. If you want to use a paper trimmer, you can, but I'm just going to cut this in half like so, okay? And then I'm just going to put some adhesive on the bottom of the stamped greeting, and I'm gonna give it a little bit of this blue border. Now what I like is you have these embossed little strips here, right? These lines. So that actually helps when I'm lining this up. So I'm gonna line it about to the second stitch mark there. And it comes out pretty even, I think, right? And then we'll put the other one on the other side. So again, I'll use about the second line, whatever you like. Okay, I'll just sort of, and then we have a little bit of a border on top and bottom, which is nice. You don't have to, you could just leave it white if you wanted. That's not a problem. So I'm gonna put this in the center, and now do I wanna pop this up? I think I might this time leave it flat. This one I did pop up, but then I also popped up the blueberries. So I think this time I'm just going to put this on flat, whoops, and I will just pop up my blueberries. Okay, so I'm gonna put this kind of in the center here. Now, I did blueberries here because that's the closest they had to the Haskell berries. So you have blueberries and strawberry in your stamp set that you can stamp and color with blends. So that's what I did here. I stamped on Basic White. I stamped it with a Misty Moonlight. You could also use Secret Sea or your black Memento if you still have it. I used the Misty Moonlight, but I found to color the berries in Misty Moonlight was just too dark for me. So what other blends do we have? Well, I thought the perfect ones are our Blueberry Bushel. They must be called blueberry for some reason. And what better one to color blueberries than Blueberry Bushel? So that's what I use, the light and the dark. So I started with the light, colored everything in with the light, and then I just took the dark to fill in the tops, and then I just added a bit of dark at the bottom and went over it a little bit with the light. And then you don't have to fussy cut. There is a die to cut these out. Now, if you don't want to use those, like I mentioned, we have that designer paper, that one piece, if I can find it now, if it didn't slide off here somewhere. This one, where you have all this different fruit that you could cut out and put on here instead, right? And you would just fussy cut it. It's already colored. You would just have to attach it to your project. So that's a great alternative if you have a different sort of product in your, that you want to showcase. Okay, so I did those blueberries ahead of time. So these I will pop up on dimensionals. think 2 should do it on each. So, oops. So let's put 1 here in this corner. Hope you can see that. And we'll do another one here. All right, so do we want to put it here or here or here? Well, I'll put it here again. Okay, and then the last thing is to add an embellishment. So these are also part of the suite. These are the strawberries and dots. They're like a little foam embellishments. You have actual strawberries, you have the blue dots, and these dots. I don't know what color. This must be like strawberry slush or something. And 2 different sizes of the dots. Okay, so I already have a lot of blue going on here. So you can add blue if you like, but I'm going to add these strawberry slush ones. So I'm going to add a large one and a small one here. And there you go. There is our little card to attach with your little gift, or whatever whatever you like. And you can write in here. You can always stamp some more in here if you like. And I just think that makes a really cute addition this time of year when everybody is starting or will be starting a lot of their canning and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed that project. I think it's just kind of fun, and just the shape of it. There aren't really specific dimensions to this. I will post the supplies that I've used. Basically, a lot of it is just out of whatever cardstock you have, and just fit the dies on them and run them through, and you're good to go. So I will post the supplies for this and whatever specific measurements I do have. I hope you'll give that a try. Maybe somebody will get a little something special on their doorstep one day, right? Okay, everybody, have a wonderful week. Stay cool, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.